more closely. Because many environmental policies still treat problems mainly as technical issues, focusing on better technology, efficiency, or innovation. These solutions, of course, are important, but they are not enough. Because environmental problems are also social problems. They are linked to inequality, working conditions, consumption patterns, and also gender roles. This becomes very clear when we talk about chemicals. As the experts that we have today will explain way better than me, we will see that chemicals are everywhere. They are in the food we eat, in pesticides, in cosmetics, in cleaning products, and in many workplaces. But the thing is that the exposure is not the same for everyone. Women are often more exposed to chemicals. And this is not accidental. This is shaped by everyday realities, the products that they are expected to use, that we are expected to use, the care responsibilities that we take on, the jobs that we do, and also biological factors that can make certain exposures more harmful. A very clear example of this is menstrual products. Menstruation is a natural process that takes place every month for a large part of the population. And yet it is still surrounded by silence and stigma in many parts of the world. This has consequences. It affects access to products, to information, to safe conditions, and also it means that for a long time, very little attention was paid to what these products actually contain. At the same time, most products available in the market are still single-use, such as pads, tampons, and this has also environmental, economic, and health implications. So this is an example that shows something very important. Chemical exposure is not only about individual choices, but it is deeply shaped by social norms, market structures, and policy gaps. At the same time, it is important to say that the current regulation does not fully reflect this reality. And gender differences are rarely placed in the center of the policy. So today we would like to reflect together on a few simple but very important questions, such as what do we really mean by toxic-free future and for whom? Who is actually most exposed in everyday life, and who is being protected, and who is still left out? So please, the next, Leo. This is just a very brief introduction because we don't have a lot of time and we have a lot of things to speak about and we also want to hear from you. So just to explain how this webinar will be organized, we will start now with the very short questions that we would like to hear from you to see what do you know about this topic. So we will go briefly to this Mentimeter in a second, and then we will have the presentations of the two experts that we have here today with us. Then we will move to breakout rooms. We want to work on some topics to speak a little bit in smaller groups so that we have the chance to get to know each other a little bit more. And then we will come back to kind of a plenary session to finish the session. And we will try to do all this in 1 hour. So it is very ambitious, but I think that we will manage. So please, let's start with this quick poll. The next one, please, Leo. You will have this QR code in your screen that you can scan it. And let's go to the questions. Okay, so the first question is, where do you think women are most exposed to harmful chemicals? So you have there some options. Okay, so cleaning, cosmetics at home, war, that's an interesting answer as well. Everywhere, yes, that's right, definitely. Cosmetics is getting bigger. We will hear about this. Esther will explain us way more about cosmetics. So at home and cosmetics is maybe cleaning products, yes, definitely. Okay, so cosmetics is still in the center. Yes, so cleaning products, cosmetics at home. Okay, good answers that we will have more. We can go deeper with Esther and then with Mekrit with pesticides. Okay, so thank you for your answers, and let's go to the second question. So the second one is, have you ever changed a product because of the health concerns that you realized that it had? Yes. Okay, most of you. Yes, yes. Okay, no. Okay, most of you are aware of the health concern that a product can have on you. Okay, okay. Yes. Well, so now that we are getting into topic, thank you for your question, for your answer, sorry. And now I'm very happy to introduce you to our first speaker that will go deeper in the topic of cosmetics. Now that most of you answered that this is something very dangerous, definitely it is. So thank you, Esther, for being here with us today. So Esther Smolich, she works as a senior science and policy officer in the health and chemical program of Hill. She holds a PhD in ecotoxicology, and in her daily work, she monitors and engages with the EU chemical legislation and scientific studies on chemical hazards and as well as the effects of chemical exposure on humans and the environment to develop science-based policy positions. Esther, thank you again, and the floor is yours.
Yes, thanks, Clara, for the introduction, and I hope you can see my screen right now.
Yes, we can see it.
Good, nice. Yeah, thanks for the introduction. Thanks for inviting me here. As Clara said, I am going to talk a bit about cosmetics, but maybe first a few more words on HERE, the Health and Environment Alliance that I work for. We are a not-for-profit organization addressing how our environment affects health in the European Union and also beyond. And we are supported by over 70 member organizations and work to ensure that health evidence and health voices are heard by policymakers. And today I am going to talk about cosmetics and exposure to chemicals in cosmetics. I will start a bit with bringing all of us to the same page and to talk a bit about what are cosmetic products and personal care products. What do I mean when I talk about them? Then I will go a bit into the use of cosmetic products and gendered exposure, and then on the EU rules for those products. And finally on ways that you personally can address those issues. So to start off, we have heard now a bit, and we saw in the Mentimeter that you are worried about cosmetic products, or at least some of you. And I'm sure that all of you picture a whole range of products when you hear the term cosmetic products or also personal care products. And probably most of those products fall under the EU definition, which is that this covers all products that are used on the body, so that's skin, but also on the lips, on nails, and on hair, and also in the mouth. And for the purpose of cleaning those body parts, perfuming or changing appearance, protecting or keeping in good condition, and also correcting body odors. And at the bottom of the slide, I have some examples of cosmetic products, but additionally, these also include toothpaste or mouthwash, for example. So the products that are used in the mouth. So it's a whole range of products, which I am sure you have already used today. And actually, most people in Europe use those products each day and every day throughout their lives. And this has, for example, been investigated in a study in France. Because what is also true is that when we think about or the use of those products throughout the population, everyone uses them, but not to the same extent. We see some striking differences in this. And this is what this French study from 2015 has analyzed. And I'm going to present some of the results from this study. So first, they looked at the use of cosmetic products by men and by women, and by girls and boys. And what you can already see here quite clearly is that adult women use a lot more cosmetic products per day than adult men do. And this already starts at a young age, because we see that also girls already use a lot more cosmetic products than boys. And this is, of course, due to different social expectations for women compared to men. We expect women to smell nice, to look nice, and this leads to more cosmetic products being used. And that, as I said, already at a young age. However, this French study didn't stop there. So their result was not only that women use more products than men, but they also looked at the usage of cosmetic products by specifically pregnant women. And this you can see at the top here. And the results that they had was that pregnant women use even more cosmetic products than women that are not pregnant. And this is mostly due to skin care, because of pregnancy-related changes to the skin, for example, dryness or sketch marks. Of course, this is very relevant when we think about chemicals, because a difference in the use pattern can also lead to different exposures to chemicals that are present in the products that are being used. And for pregnant women, this doesn't only change the chemical exposure to the woman itself or herself, but also to the developing fetus. And then the study also looked at a last population group, which was babies under the age of 3, now here at the bottom of the chart. And here we see again that a large number of products, so on average 6 products a day, are used on those young babies. And again, of course, we have here a population group with a high vulnerability to long-lasting chemical effects also later in life. So all in all, to me at least, the study really underlines the broad usage and exposure to cosmetic products, and therefore also the importance of strict rules on the chemicals that are used in those products. And in the EU, what we have for cosmetic products in particular is the so-called Cosmetic Products Regulation, which includes a number of provisions that should ensure a high level of health protection from chemicals used in those products. And these provisions are first and foremost the responsibilities of companies to ensure the safety of their products and to conduct safety assessment before placing the products on the market. And then we also have specific rules for specific types of substances to be used in cosmetic products, including a prohibition to use substances with the most serious health hazards, like substances that cause cancer or that alter our DNA or that affect the reproduction. All of those are prohibited, and derogations from this prohibition are only possible under strictly defined circumstances. However, what we at here see is still several aspects that need to be improved in the cosmetic products regulation. And this is, of course, also why, or part why we have this webinar. Clara already mentioned the combined effects of chemicals, of chemical mixtures. You probably still remember that I just presented that we all use several products a day. Women even more than men, girls more than boys. And of course, each of these products itself contains several chemicals usually. So the combination of those huge numbers of products and the number of chemicals used per product translate to a daily exposure from cosmetic products alone to tens or hundreds of chemicals. And then additionally, of course, we are also exposed to chemicals from other sources like our food, and Margrit will talk about pesticides, but also from the air, from the products we use in our home. Cleaning products were featured in the Menti. So all of these chemicals occur together, and the effects of these chemicals can then add up. But today in the cosmetic products regulation, we don't have provisions that are sufficient to consider those combined effects of chemicals. So this is a gap from our point of view. And then we have another area, a big area where we see a need for improvement, which is that we see a need for comprehensive regulatory rules on suspected and known endocrine disruptors. Endocrine disruptors are substances that interfere with the hormone system. And chronic exposures to these endocrine disrupting chemicals, even at low doses, can contribute to numerous health effects. And I have a whole list here that includes various cancers, but also infertility or reproductive problems, or the other things that are listed on this slide. So from our point of view, we really need comprehensive regulation of these chemicals used in all consumer products, and that includes cosmetic products that are used daily, and also by the most vulnerable population groups, as I showed before. So additionally to those major gaps on the combined chemical exposures and the endocrine disruptors, we also have very new developments in the EU today, starting from last year, that are threatening some of the strong provisions that we have today, namely the provision on the prohibition for cancer-causing substances and those that affect reproduction and DNA. And in the frame of simplification, the European Commission proposes to modify rules on chemicals, including some rules under the cosmetic products regulation. And we've analyzed those proposals and found that from our point of view, these proposals would lead to the prolonged and avoidable exposure of consumers to these chemicals with the very serious health hazards. And for us, this is not acceptable. We support a precautionary approach to regulate the most harmful chemicals in all consumer products. So what can you do? You can, of course, speak up against this weakening of the current EU rules on chemicals and let your opinion known that you want to be protected from them. You can reach out, for example, to the members of the European Parliament or also to national authorities on those current simplification proposals. For that, you can, of course, call them or write them an email yourself, or you can use the Check-Ton Politik application, where it's very easy to contact the policymakers, and it's available in several languages. And in the meantime, of course, it might be necessary to reduce the personal exposure to harmful chemicals in cosmetics. And for that, we, together with TIG and GIF, have, for example, developed a number of materials in the so-called Under the Label initiative that you can find on our website that is specifically targeting endocrine disrupting chemicals in cosmetics and informing about different endocrine disruptors. And then there are also a number of apps to scan products and get information on chemicals of concern that are used in the products you already have at home or when you're in the supermarket. I've listed here a few, but I'm sure there are many more. And usually they are quite helpful and can give you a good information about the chemicals that are present in the products. And with that, I would like to thank you for your attention. I'm happy to answer any questions later or discuss with you in the breakout rooms as well.
Thank you very much, Esther. That was very interesting and very clear as well. I think that before we move to Mehrit, we have a short question in the chat box. Maybe you can answer because it's very short, and maybe briefly you can answer. So the question is, if Is product labeling useful when most chemicals have complicated names that we don't understand? Maybe if you
Yes,
can.
so I think it's still useful, but I totally agree that the chemical names are not helpful for most consumers directly. That's why we have this Under the Label initiative that is dedicated to kind of, yeah, translating what it means, what is the science behind specific chemicals that are present. And that's also exactly what those apps usually do. They don't just show you chemical names, they also kind of alert you if there are any yeah, suspicion, for example, for endocrine disruption or other harmful effects.
Yeah. Well, so we will go with the next speaker, and we will keep the rest of the questions if there are more, and we will collect them all, and we will continue speaking about this in the end of the session. So thank you again, Esther. And I'm pleased to introduce to our second speaker. She's Margriet Mantich. She's a co-founder and chairperson of PAN Netherlands. She is a researcher into the presence of pesticides in our living environment and our food and their potential effects. In her work, she is involved in lawsuits against the approval of the most toxic pesticides in the lawsuits filed by local residents against lily cultivation. Margriet, thank you again for being here, and you can go on, you can share your screen.
Yes, thank you, Clara, for introducing me and also for the invitation to invite me to tell a bit about pesticides. But I will not tell a lot. We will have an quiz and with a lot of questions. And I will share my... Even kijken. We have to... That's the technique. I'm not an... Let's see. We have to go to the presentation. Yes, do you see the screen and the code? So please take the code and then we can start, maybe. Can we start with the questions?
Yeah, yes, we see your screen. I don't know if we can see the code. Leo, can you?
I see the code, but you don't see the code.
No, we can see the screen, but not the code. But there we have the link in the
You see
chat.
it now? No.
No, we can't see the code.
Ah. Back. That's
Yes, Leo, maybe you can share your screen so that you can share the code briefly.
no.
There we go. Thank you. Yeah.
Maybe we need some assistance from Leo. Then he has
Yes, he's
also
there. I can see the code very small in the bottom. Sorry, in the top of the screen.
Do we see it
There
now?
we go. Now we can see it. Yes.
But then I will have to start. So we have 8 questions. The first question is, which fruit from the supermarket contains the highest number of different pesticide residues? So you have the choice between apples, strawberries, and kiwis.
Okay.
You have some seconds to choose. Time is up. Now, Most of you choose for strawberries, and that's correct. Thank you. Then we go to the next. It doesn't. It does not work well, I see. It's yeah, as I said, maybe Leo should take over it. I cannot choose or go to the next one.
Yeah, we couldn't. I think that when we scanned this one, we couldn't reply it.
Yeah, I should have here that.
Yeah, well, maybe you can just, yeah, we couldn't, when we scanned this one, we couldn't answer, but maybe you just can tell us. Also, the right answer was asparagus. Okay. Yeah, we
Yeah.
were not able to answer this one, Migrit, but don't worry.
Yeah. I'm really very sorry. That doesn't work it. Leo is not available. Then he has also the quiz, and he could share it maybe.
Yes, he's sharing, but I think there was something with the slide that it didn't work. But let's go on. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so those were the last answers, Leo, because I think that we can continue with the following ones.
You see this?
Yes.
Okay. I don't. I hope so. We saw that the strawberries were the most polluted from the three we presented. But if you see on what's happening now?
Yeah, we can see the screen now. Great.
Yeah, but there's no. No, that's not working. Nothing happens.
Well, maybe you can just we can just go through the questions without doing the quiz, because I think that the quiz is not working. Oh,
So,
it says that it works now.
So this the questions were based on a pesticide guidance. Pan Netherlands introduced an pesticide guidance for consumers, in which we show which products, which vegetables, which fruits are the most polluted with pesticides. Then we see that from the fruits, citrus fruits are very polluted, strawberries, apples, pears. But there are, we can be happy, there are also some fruits which are less polluted, like kiwis or avocado. And then we have also a list of vegetables which are most and less polluted with pesticides. And then we see in the list that salads are very polluted. Also the salads produced in the Netherlands. And less polluted are root vegetables like red beet or carrots are less polluted. We investigated a lot of matrices, a lot of substances on pesticides, like flowers. Cut flowers are also very famous for their, or not famous, yeah, I can say famous. They are very, very polluted. in particular, if the cut flowers are imported from countries outside of Europe, from Africa. Kenya is a country where a lot of roses are cultivated, then imported to the Netherlands and again exported all over the world. The problem is that in other countries outside of the EU, many pesticides which are forbidden in the EU are still allowed to use in other countries outside of the EU, and mostly that are the most toxic pesticides, which are harmful, in particular for the users. Many women are still working in glass greenhouses or also outside of the greenhouses. They are affected by the pesticides, but also the environment is affected very much by insecticides which are forbidden in the European Union, like imidacloprid or fipronil. It's still allowed in many other countries. They are destroying all the insects like the bees, the honeybees, and also the wild bees. Then we have also data from investigations of the bedrooms. That was an investigation in Belgium and in the Netherlands, done by the NGO Veld. And they found also many pesticides in the bedrooms, in the dust, which is in every bedroom, we can say. And in average, they found about 17 different pesticides. In cut flowers, I forgot to tell, in cut flowers we find about 20 up to 30 different pesticides in one bouquet. It's incredible how it is possible, but the flowers are treated against fungi disease, against insect disease. One thing, because I told also about the dust of the bedrooms, then you can think, how is it possible that all those pesticides enter the bedrooms? We know nowadays that many pesticides which are applied are not only spread by emission by drift, so during spraying, but they are also evaporated from the fields into the air, coming in the rain, or they are absorbed by human, by dust, and spread also all around the world. Then we had also some figures about garden plants. We came on this topic because one photographer who was investigating the development of caterpillars and daffodils, and a caterpillar has to eat some time from, excuse me, they have to eat some plants, and then she bought the plants from the garden centers, and to see the development of the caterpillar, she put the caterpillar on the plant. But within 1 day or 2 days, all the caterpillars were dead. And she thought, how is it possible? And how is it possible? And then we analyzed also the garden plants on pesticides and found also many pesticides, and in particular insecticides that are substances made to kill the insects. But it's the problem that they not only kill the target insects, but also the beneficial insects. Let's see how many minutes I have still.
Yes, you have a couple of more minutes, but I think that we're seeing the same slide of the fruits. I don't know if Leo or you will to change it, or?
We have here the picture of the average residues on several which screen do you see now? I have to share my screen, isn't it? You have it.
Yes, now we see the quiz
Right.
again with the.
Yeah, you see, these are the average several pesticide residues on the vegetables. And the less polluted are the asparagus. They have found no pesticide residues. Red beets, also very little, 0.1 in average. We showed it's a long list of in total 26 different pesticides, 26 different vegetables, and it goes up to the salads, which are the most polluted. But you can see the whole list in our website from Pesticide Action Network Netherlands. And now it's going through, but
yeah, I think that we are seeing again the quiz. Maybe you can just close that one. Well,
I'm very sorry that this is
no worries.
not working.
Thank you, Margriet. Is there anything else that you would like to add before we move to the breakout rooms?
Yes, maybe it's the fact is the pesticides which are used in general, they are approved in first instance at EU level and by the EFSA, the Environmental Food and Plant Safety Agency, and then they approved the active substance, and then finally the member states approved the final product, like as the farmers can use. Although they are approved, they are still very harmful, and there are effects on several diseases. Several substances have hormone-disrupting chemicals. Other substances are cancerogenic or mutagenic. So it are all substances we can say that they are made to kill somehow an organism, that we have to take in our bad mind. I think so. Okay.
Thank you, Margriet. We have a couple of questions in the chat, but we will leave them for the last part. In the end, we will answer the questions that you have made. Thank you again for your presentation. Now we will move to the last interactive part of the session. We will go into breakout rooms for a short group discussion. You can see the activity that we proposed there. I will also post it on the chat. So you will be divided into small groups, and each group can choose one of these 3 statements, or if you have time, you can discuss more than one statement. And the idea is that you can discuss if you agree or disagree with these statements, what is missing from these statements, and also who benefits from these narratives. So let's go to the breakout rooms. We will have 10 minutes. And then we will come back for the final plenary and for the answering the questions. So we'll see you in 10 minutes, between 10 and 15 minutes, and we will be back here. And then you have to come to the general plenary session, but I hope that you had at least a few minutes to discuss. So the idea now is to just hear from you. If maybe group one or anyone that would like to start and share which statement did you choose, and just 2 minutes what you discussed, and then we go to some questions that we have in the chat. Okay, yes, you can start. Go ahead.
Okay, is that me? I thought I'd go before I forgot it. Sorry. So everyone, we chose if a product is sold in the EU, it must be safe. The first very interesting thing is that one of the participants was sort of saying, well, yeah, and it's true. We all want to believe that. We want to believe that if a product is sold in the EU, it must be safe. But the reality is that we're discovering that is not the case. So the inputs we had was maybe this is a world view, that we want our government to be something that we can rely on. Probably one of the problems is that there is no accountability or even more penalties. Also, the other point was that we had 2 representatives from Africa, and what they're saying is that either you can get products online where there is no testing or no reliability. And the other thing is, if you're trying to send a product to Europe, they make you go through so many hurdles for it to be pesticide free. And then you hear that within Europe, everyone can get away with, selling stuff that isn't. So it's a social injustice issue as well. Right. I'm going to stop there because we haven't got time. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else would like to share about what you discussed in your groups? Maybe in the group where Esther was?
Maybe I start and then other group members can add. We chose the same statement. And we also said that, yes, it should be true, but this is not the reality. And I think our discussions went along a very similar lines, that this is about consumer trust. This is about how the system works, who benefits from this trust. And also we, in the end, also touched upon the same issue on a more global scale, that especially EU products are seen as safe and perceived as safe also outside of the EU. And again, this is, of course, a great advantage if you are an EU company producing cosmetic products, because then you already have the trust of a lot of consumers globally.
Thank you, Esther. I don't know if somebody else from your group would like to add something. If not, we move to hear from Mekrit group.
Yes, it's a huge topic, I think. Do we need pesticides to feed the world? And it's very complex. So we did not finalize our discussion, but I will tell you what we discussed very shortly. Others can add if I miss something. The food production, we can... there were statements that we can also use less pesticides, or maybe even no pesticides, but then we need also another way of feeding ourselves, not to use good food as animal feed to finally to produce the meat. That's one. We need another consumption pattern. Also, the suggestion was we need less toxic pesticides, and that's also a huge discussion. What is less toxic? Most pesticides are still, or even less toxic, they should kill something, and also the insects are a very big concern. Then if we have no insects, also the pollination is out of balance. I told we have already companies who produce the bumblebees, and which are then put in the orchard to pollinate the trees. And that's a way of what is not sustainable. Also, we said it was said if we have organic food, yes, we want to have organic food, but it's more expensive, and also the organic farmers need more money to produce their food.
Thank you. Yeah.
So we were not, we did not finalize the discussion. Yeah.
Yes, we don't have a lot of time. Wish we can make it longer, but well, at least we can have some inputs. And the idea is also that we can go back home and continue thinking about these topics and maybe do a little bit of research. And yes, hopefully we can meet again and continue speaking about these topics. So now we are about to finish, but before we finish this session, we have some questions. So maybe you can give some short answers, Esther, and then Mekrit. So the first question that we have for Esther, I will read both of them. So maybe you can give just one answer. So one of the questions is if also chemicals in packaging and products are often separate. So even the apps that are meant to identify products don't relate to plastic packaging. That was one of the questions. And the other one is, how about imported products in global online shopping? And do countries control imports of dangerous cosmetics?
Yes, I think the first one I can answer very shortly. That's completely correct. The chemicals in the packaging are not considered in the apps, but also in the safety assessments. And then on the second one, on the import of products and online sales, and they are actually, so the cosmetic products regulation applies to all products placed on the EU market. That includes those from online sales. But what is seen when there are controls of products is that there are always products found that are non-compliant, and that goes for imported, but also for EU-produced products, both. So this is not only an issue related to online sales, it's an issue related generally across the board to chemicals that can occur in cosmetics where there are known or suspected concerns. I think in all shortness, I hope that answers the question considering the time.
Yeah, thank you, Esther. Thanks so much. Mifrit, we have two questions for you as well. So maybe if you can give us a very short answer. First one is, does raising fruits help? Should you rinse before placing in fridge or before eating? And the other one is, should the reference number of residues in what we eat should be 0?
Yeah, so the last question, yeah, I think that the number of residues would be 0. Then, in particular, if you have more than one residue, you don't know the effects of the cocktail, and there are other effects also. It can be stronger effects. The first question was
was about raising fruits, if it helps.
Raising fruits of.
Yeah, I will put it in the chat again. Does rinsing fruits help? Should you rinse before the placing in the fridge or before eating?
Which question is it? Rinsing, yeah. No, it helps a bit. Yes, of course, it's always good to rinse the fruits, but you can only remove a little part of the pesticides. There are many pesticides which should enter also through the whole plant, so you cannot rinse them. And also placing in a fridge or something like that, it does not help.
No, okay. Well, thank you very much. Thank you all for your contributions and for being here today, participating. We hope to see you again in our final webinar of this series that is part of the Imagining Climate Just Futures. The last webinar will be in April. We haven't decided the date yet, but we will let you know as soon as possible. And you can also follow us in social media and you will find all the information for the next webinar. So thank you again, and we hope to see you soon.
Thank you, Ai.